What's up, family? Welcome back to the Stop Sinking Show, where we go from struggle to flow. You know the most powerful place to be? The least vulnerable place to be? And not an actual place, but psychologically, the best mental place you can be in, no matter the difficulty that you are surrounded by, and no matter the outcomes of whatever it is that you are working on, whether you win or lose, the most powerful place to be is where you can say to yourself, at least I gave it my all. At least I did all that I could. If something is failing, if something bad happens, the best possible place you can put yourself in is by being someone who has been working the entire time in a way where your contribution only moves the needle in the positive direction. And then if the outcome, the output is still negative, then you can say to yourself that whatever happens, at least it was not caused by my inputs or by me, because I don't control the outputs. I thought about this through the metaphor of driving in the pouring rain the other day. Florida got hit with crazy rain last week, flooding everywhere, and I normally don't drive much, but ironically, on the worst rainy days with flooding shutting down parts of the highway, I had to go to the airport twice in a week on those days. And the crazy rain doesn't stop people here from driving 75 miles an hour in their huge trucks though. So while I'm driving on the highway in my little car, I had this thought. If something happens, if I was to get into an accident, I know for sure, because of the way that I drive, I am defensive when I need to be, offensive and assertive when I need to be, because I've driven for so long in every condition and throughout this country, because I literally drove for my job all the time. I have that much confidence in myself to have been able to say that if I don't get to where I'm going safely, it won't be because of me. And let's face it, accidents can and will still happen. All it takes is one other person making a decision on the road that you couldn't react to fast enough, or the road itself becomes slippery or dangerous conditions. Things can still go wrong, but it's still something to know that I'm doing all that I can to make sure the impact of anything negative from the outside is anticipated, mitigated, managed. That as long as I don't get distracted, as long as I'm focused, as long as I am responsive, as long as I'm willing to be flexible and adjust to the conditions, as long as I don't overestimate myself, as long as I don't overcredit and overtrust the decisions of others, as long as I am present, as long as my eyes are on the road ahead, as long as I know I am and have done all of this, whatever happens after that is a statistical possibility. Now, I'm not saying that you don't take accountability for what still happens, but at least don't put yourself in a place where you have to take responsibility for adding to what went wrong. If I started speeding and making dangerous maneuvers and then got into an accident, I couldn't say that to myself. At the end of the day, even in an accident that you didn't cause, it's not like we can erase all of our choices that led us there. And sure, some things in life do just happen to us, like illness and catastrophe, regardless of our actions. And maybe in those scenarios, it's less our accountability muscle that needs to be employed and more of our acceptance. I guess I'm just saying that there's work you can still do, just so you can say that you're doing all that you can. Even acceptance is something to work on as an action. And it puts you back in power, so that even if you weren't able to avert disaster, you can at the least take ownership for rebounding from it. If you haven't gathered it yet, I'm not just talking about driving here. Now, candidly, there's many places in my life I can only aspire to be this confident and say that I have done all that I can. And I'm doing all that I can so that I can actually be at peace in those areas. which is a case for why this is a very important sentiment to have in your pocket that strengthens your psyche. Because when you sit in those off moments and have doubts and question everything, when reality is beating you down and nothing is going well, the last thing you want to do is to be able to point the finger at yourself. The last thing you want to be is the reason, even a little bit of a reason, for why things aren't as good as they can be. JP says, whatever God is, the best element of him can plausibly be brought forth as a consequence of the manifestation of what's best in us. And that might be the willingness to sacrifice and the willingness to trust and the courage to love your neighbor, the courage to love your enemy. And the point of what he says is, it's like, would reality shine a more benevolent face upon us if we were all as good as we could be? And what I'm saying is, at the least, you want to be as good as you could be. And only then are you making room and inviting the full impact of any benevolence that might come your way. And of course, like anyone else, there's a lot I continue to get wrong. A lot I leave on the table. A lot I leave undone. A lot I leave in the tank. A lot unlived, unspoken, unexplored. And as a result, many storms I am not fully prepared to brace. Many conditions I'm not sure I can travel through. Not a position of power. Weakness. No peace. Not what I want for you. I love you, family. Stay true always. I see you on the next show.